I think, I don't know. I feel like VR chat, like when you mention VR and VR chat, people who aren't involved in the scene might immediately think of like the meme videos that came out like years ago. And so they just think it's just some like weird little space where people are like just being lucky little assholes, you know? VR, I think, is also in a way still ever so slightly too expensive for just people to just kind of pick up.
Welcome to Metaverse Degen. I'm Lion.
I'm Old Man Raptor, and our guest is...
Yo, what's up? I'm Blackoutboi. I'm the host of Garage30 Radio and Twitter Yowie poster. Yeah, that's what I'm going with.
No, we'll go with it. We're going to go with it. No argument there.
So, what are you best known for here in VR chat, and how did you get started doing it? And VR chat too.
So I believe I'm most known for Garage30 Radio at this point. It started in, I want to believe I started coming up with the idea in late 2021. There was an event, a little private event I have with my friends at a map called Ethos, which is a whole nother story if we ever decide to get into that. But for that event, I decided to put a mix together that was heavily inspired by the BBC Radio 1 Essentials mix. Like I commissioned a other creator in VR to make like a radio intro and give this whole like really like parody of like what the BBC does every 2 weeks. I actually don't know their schedule, I can't lie. And I really liked the way it sounded so much that I was like, I wonder if I could like take that idea, steal it, and make it work in VR. And so I spent a few months. I actually went back and forth with that creator. We spent a few months kind of thinking about an idea of how that would work. Eventually, before the show aired, we decided to go in separate directions. They wanted to do a different thing. I wanted to do a different thing. So their radio became something for themselves. I created Garage30 Radio, and I made everything else. And yeah, here we are now. I am actually on my break. This is the perfect time for you guys to get me because I haven't been working on episodes. This is my yearly 1 month break. And yeah, I just hit 2 years in, oh fuck, what month is it? We're in April. It was March.
Oh, wow.
In March, I hit 2 years of the show. I did every Sunday for 2 years, and I'm no one could tell me I have commitment issues.
Well, congratulations on 2 years. Fun enough, we hit our 2 years in March as well. So congratulations.
Oh, let's go. Look at us. Ideas all sprouting at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So
There for a minute, I was going to ask him what it was for lunch because he was on his break. But if it was a 2-year break, I don't like... Yeah. I gotcha.
So what is Garage30 Radio, and what's the story you were alluding to as well?
So Garage30 Radio, man, I don't even have like a saying for it. I just kind of do it. I basically, look at me. I'll start from the beginning. How about that? I'm so sorry for the people who are like, just get to it. So I was heavily inspired by Skrillex's episode of the BBC Radio 1 Essentials mix. I have heard a few other of their episodes, and I kind of got the idea, which is basically the guy finds famous DJs. He kind of gives a little spiel about them, like, hey, this is what they've done. This is what they're known for, et cetera, but never says their name up until like right when the mix is about to start. And I really liked that idea of like, let's just list off all the accolades first. Like, what are you best known for? And so I took that and was like, there are a lot of talented people in this scene, and I kind of want to do the same for them. I think it'd be a cool way to highlight them as an artist and a creator or a DJ, whatever it is they prefer to be called. And I really also like the idea of creating a mix that wasn't made for a party. Like I feel most of the mixes or that we'll hear in VR are very catered to, you know, what's the vibe of the venue you're at? What does everyone kind of want to listen to? And when I first started putting these together, I always told the DJ, I still tell them this, like, don't think too hard about who you're trying to impress with the mix. I want this to be more of a like an expression of what you like, of what you want people to listen to. If that's a mix that has a well-driven story, or if it's just a mix that it's includes songs you really like, and it's just like bunch of bangers that you just like listening to and mixing together, I don't care. I just want this mix to be a representation of you. And I think that's kind of what encapsulates Garage 30. It's more like just a highlight of whoever is playing that Sunday. I try to make the promo as fun as it can be. I like gather them like 2-3 weeks ahead of time. I do like a mini photo shoot to get the angle that I really like. I started actually in the scene as a photographer. I would just go around to different big worlds and just take pictures of the DJs or the crowd. I really enjoy crowd photos. I think seeing people dance is a very underrated aspect of photography. I think it's no offense to the photographers out there. Everyone is really talented. I just really like taking pictures of the crowd. And I was also really known for close-ups, so that fit perfectly with the aesthetic I was going for the covers. And then I'll ask them details about themselves, like what's their favorite color, what aesthetic do you like, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'll design the cover around them specifically, or specifically, is that the right word? We'll go with specifically. And how else can I put this? And then the story, I guess, that I was alluding to earlier, there was an asteroid, I almost died. I used to run a venue with two of my friends. I think both of them like staying kind of anonymous, so I won't say who they are, but I used to run it with them. And for our birthdays, we all found out that our birthdays fall like within a week of each other. So we threw like a little private birthday event for ourselves. We invited like 4 or 5 friends. It was a really small event. And at this event, we all made mixes for like each other. Like it was like, this mix I made specifically for you two. They made a mix for us too, et cetera, et cetera. And that venue became so special to me because of that event and just the relationship I had with those two, that it's definitely something I probably won't forget for the rest of my life. And it felt right to associate the radio station with I call it a radio station. I know it's a podcast, but you know, to associate the radio station with the venue. That's hence the name Garage 30. The venue we had was a parking garage. And when I was coming up with a name, I actually was bouncing back and forth with my friend. I was like, I really want it to be lightly associated with the venue. The venue's name was Ethos. And so we went back and forth. We came up with Garage. My favorite number is 3, but Garage 3 didn't sound nice. It didn't flow well. So we added a 0 instead of Garage 30. And just for some reason, I was like, that's it. That's what I'm going to go with. And yeah, the rest is history. I have been super lucky to meet with DJs from all around the world. I mean, a majority of them are from the United States, just because, or like North America, just because it's really easy. You know, like we were talking about before we started recording, time zones are very hard to work around, especially when it's like, hey, I need this by this time. You know, I will do my hardest to work with you. But I have been able to work with people from Thailand, from Japan, from Europe, South America. I don't know if I've done South America yet. I might be making that up, but I will hopefully get there at one point if I haven't. And I think I think that might have answered your question.
Well, thank you very much for explaining all that. What got you into VR chat and VR in this first place? What led you in here, as well as the rave scene?
Sure. So I think like many in this scene or just in general, I started pretty much during the height of COVID. That was during the time when this is going to sound so irresponsible of me. I don't want to say we were all, but a majority of people were getting like $700 a week of unemployment. And that was like the most money I'd ever had to this day. So I, being the dumb mid-20s, early 20-year-old, decided that I was going to just blow most of that money. And one of the first things I bought was a VR headset because I really wanted to get into VR. And so I started off just kind of doing with I don't want to call it the normal stuff, but like the typical, I just jumped into like Japan Street or Midnight Rooftop, and I just kind of hung out, try to find some friends. My very first VR chat friend, I actually still keep in contact with. We met up in person, I think a year and a half ago, and that was really special to me. That group of people that I met him through, I don't talk to any of them else. It's just him, so it was a really fun moment. But I won't get into the too nitty gritty details of it, but just know that this is my second account. The first one, some stuff happened between the group and I just decided I kind of wanted to take a little bit of a break. I think everyone was kind of COVID crazy. Everyone was like on with each other all the time. And I think I was like, it was getting to the point. I have a really funny story where one day I was playing VR for so long that I got out, walked to my kitchen to grab something, and I was expecting a tooltip to come up to tell me that I could grab the bread. And that was my moment of like,
oh my God.
I think I need a break. But I was really into the VRs. I would wake up and just jump in VR and just hang out with friends and then stay in. I would eat lunch sometimes with my headset on, and then just it was a lot. So anyway, yeah, I eventually dispersed from that group, but I had been hearing about the events that would be thrown in here. I've been listening to electronic music since I was like in high school, so I've always loved the idea of raves and stuff. And when everyone during early quarantine was throwing all these like Twitch raves where it was like, Monster Cat did their thing, or I forgot who else was putting stuff together. I'd started hearing more about the VR rave, so I created this account. I used the name that I typically use for a lot of my alt accounts, and I just tried to find what event I could like go to. I would find the maps. I didn't really try that hard at first. I found the map and I was like, oh, I wonder when they throw things together. My first map was Loner. And I was like, oh, this is a cool little venue. I don't know what happens here, but I bet it's really cool. And then I found Shelter. I think they still do the thing where the elevator or the door's closed. So I was like, this is just an alley, but I bet whatever happens here is really cool. And so eventually I started figuring out, okay, there's a certain time, there's a Discord server. Then we just try to catch one of them. And so I eventually did. And I actually met a friend who isn't in the scene anymore, but I still talk to him. He was my first friend that I met at Loner. And it just was an eye-opening thing. I was like, I really liked the music. The amount of people that were there. I was like, if it's as close to going to a real rave as I could get. I live in a city where raves don't really get thrown. Like, it's not EDM doesn't have a really big hold here. So I had to travel to like New Orleans, which is roughly like 45 minutes to an hour away, which isn't terrible. Don't get me wrong. But when a rave gets thrown down there and it's like I have to drive the hour and a half to get there, parking's like $30, and then it doesn't end till about 3 a.m, and then I have to drive all the way home, and I'm not home till 5. It's just not a fun experience. It's like something that I would do more often if I had the energy to, but I just sometimes don't have the energy for. So finding this where it was like, I just got to throw on my headset. I'm in my room. Yeah, I can go get a snack anytime I want, AC, no one really stinks. It's great. It's a good time. And I mean, yeah. And then that's just how I discovered this great scene. I met a lot of really cool people. Like I said, I got involved in running events for a little bit. I personally think it's too stressful. I commend everyone who can do it because it is a very stressful thing to gather people together and make sure everyone comes on time. Then the technical difficulties where the Twitch link doesn't work, nightmare. So that's not for me. But I respect everyone who can do it and all the work they put in to make this scene what it is.
So you mentioned you alluded that you've been to real life raves before. In your experience, how are the raves in VR similar and different from the ones you've experienced in real life?
I think one thing that VR is slowly starting to get better at, I know at first, when I was first going to these events, it wasn't the same. I think a lot of IRL events are very claustrophobic, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It's like you're really tight with people. I know I mentioned earlier, I made a joke about no one smells, but like everyone's like sweaty. We're all kind of really getting into it. I think that's the only thing about real raves that I do somewhat enjoy over VR, even though now VR is getting better about I think people's maps are starting to get smaller. The places where people are playing are just feeling a little bit more tighter, and I think it feels a lot more intimate. I really do enjoy that. My favorite part about VR raves as opposed to IRL raves, and I don't think this is a fault of IRL raves specifically, but a lot of times I'll go see opener. I love showing up early to real raves. I watch every single opener I can. I think they deserve the attention as much as the main DJ does. But that being said, a lot of times the openers feel like they might be a little forced to play like lighter. I know it's like a unspoken rule where you have to not outshine the other, like the main DJ. So a lot of times the mix will be quieter. They'll play like house music or something that's a little bit more mellowed out. And I think here in VR, everyone's just like, fuck it, play what you want. And I really enjoy that. I get to really feel like it's not like there's a headliner for every show, right? It's just these are the people who are playing. And you get to enjoy them for who they are versus like you're watching all these people leading up to the big headliner, who may or may not. I've been to a few headliner shows in real life that were very disappointing, and I was like, I appreciated the openers more than you. I won't get that was a little aside. Sorry. I wasted a lot of money, let me tell you. This dude was touted as like the #1 DJ, and I went to go see him, and I was like, this is so boring. I'm sorry, but like I said, as opposed to IRL to VR, VR doesn't have that issue where it's like I'm here to see the main opener. I'm here to just see the people who are playing, and I think I appreciate that a lot more. There's obviously some stuff that VR can't recreate, unfortunately. Like, I think there is a certain really cool energy from feeling the room shake from music, when the sound system is really nice. What I do to recreate that for myself is I have these headphones, unsponsored, these Skull Candy Crushers that they like shake to bass. Yeah.
I have the same headphones. They're amazing.
They're so good, so good. I know the quality isn't what it could be, or like maybe they're not as good as other headphones, but for getting that ever so slight immersion for me of just having like shaking music or like really loud and probably damaging my hearing, it's like so good. It elevates my experience so much more. I think I enjoy when I do get around to charging them to get that to work. I enjoy raves much more when I have that going on.
Well, if you enjoy the Skull Candy Crushers for immersion, there is the Woozer vest, which will blast sound at you and shake in terms of like as if you're in front of speakers kind of thing. And Raptor and I have met a person or two who uses it. So if you want to feel more immersed on that sense, maybe that's something to look into.
Yeah, I'll have to look into it. Thanks for telling me about that. Yeah. I will say the things I like more about VR raves, I mentioned them a little bit. It is just easier. Like I said, water is right next to me at all times. There was one event I went to in real life where I like almost got a heat stroke because I didn't drink water. So I think now I appreciate having water right there all the time. While I do love the claustrophobia, I think not accidentally bumping into people in VR is kind of sick. Yeah, you'll phase into them, but it's not like I'm accidentally hurting you or anything. Yeah, I really do like that. I like having the option to like. This is going to sound so bad. Having the option to turn down the main volume to speak to someone and then turn it back up is really nice too. A lot of the times when I'm in venues in real life, is a lot of like getting close and like yelling into their ear, and sometimes you still don't get the message across. So I think being able to have like a little bit of a conversation. Well, I'm not trying to disrespect the DJ by like, speaking right in front of them. I get that, but you know, I think just having a little bit easier access to talk to people too. I think that's pretty much all I have on the top of my head about like my likes and dislikes of the scene or the events.
Okay. Since you've been in the VR chat rave scene for a while, has your opinions of the real life raves changed at all, or is it about similar?
I think I noticed the opening DJ thing more being in the VR scene, if that makes sense. So like earlier I was saying, here it's just people on the lineup. You know, you're not here to see a headliner. Whenever I would go to like IRL shows, it's like very obvious that the DJs were told like, hey, you're not gonna play any of the music from the headliner. You know, you can't. You could just tell they're being a little bit limited. Like I would love to see some of these openers like at just like some underground event where it's just like someone at their house or like some abandoned house. I think that would be a really fun thing, just because I feel like some people might be held back from that. Other things about the VR, I don't know. I think being able to go to so many events in VR makes almost getting to attend an IRL event, regardless of my complaints, it feels different now. Like now I have a comparison where it's like, here I can enjoy this at home. And sometimes, let me tell you, I do enjoy staying at home more. But it's like if I'm with a bunch of friends and we're all going to go see an event, I can like, I feel like even though I have full body tracking, my movements are a lot crazier in real life. I really do enjoy dancing. So I think being able to express that is a lot of fun. Not being worried about kicking my cat when I'm dancing is really cool, or my downstairs neighbors. But I don't know if I truly appreciate one over the other. I think I appreciate them both for what they are. And that's how that's why I don't try to like, it's not like I'm trying to tell people like, oh, you need to recreate this feeling of like the room shaking, you know, in real life. You know, I think I have gotten to this point where like, I know what a VR rave is going to be like, and I know what an IRL rave is going to be like. And I enjoy them both for what they are. Yeah, that was a long way of saying that.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you sharing that insight. I enjoy hearing some people's perspectives of how they've been in VR doing whatever it is their craft or they enjoy doing, and then seeing the opposite of real life, or vice versa. If someone's in real life doing, say, like playing DJ sets or showing their music production, and then hearing that real life experience, and then hearing their opinions from VR, I enjoy those insights. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. No problem. No problem. Thanks for asking the question, I guess.
So with
I love sharing stuff.
30 Radio, what have been some of the highlights that you've learned or picked up on during the last 2 years?
So I used to tell people that they were going to be on the show like a week before. And so I stopped doing that because that was clearly not enough time to let them know that they're going to do the show. Highlights that I picked up. I think when I first started the show, I was very under the impression that it wasn't going to pick up the way it did. Now, I'm not saying I was in it for like, you know, I wanted to be this big thing or anything. But I mean, the first like 15 episodes were just my friends, and I was like, hey, I'm just doing this thing, I just want to like see how this goes. Do you mind giving me like a mix? Answer these questions for me. I'll read off this bio and we'll just go with it and see what happens. And I think it wasn't till about episode 30, which I know is a long time considering it's only one a week, but episode 30 was when I realized like, oh, this might be something bigger than I anticipated it being. Especially that was around the time too when I started having like an extremely long wait list. Like, especially even right now, I have a sort of like an interest form where people can just tell me like, hey, I want to be on the show. And I'm like, cool, just answer these questions I'm going to ask you again anyway, but just answer them for me now. and I'll just put you on the list. And right now I have like enough DJs that will cover me for another year. And it's like, fuck, but it's like, fuck, you know, it's kind of cool. It's kind of crazy. I think people, or at least DJs, really enjoy like getting the like one-to-one. Like, I don't see you as like, oh, you're just some DJ. You're like, I want to know more about you. What have you done in the past, or that you're proud of? What are you working on, any projects right now that you want people to know about that you haven't announced? How long do you want to play? Do you want your mix to be only like 45 minutes? Do you want to give us like a 90-minute thing? You know, like, I'm gonna let you be I'm just the voice, you know, you do the everything else, and we'll send it and we'll just see what happens. And I've enjoyed just that little like, even just taking pictures with the DJs. We usually get into like a really small conversation. I get to like just ask them how they are, but what are they excited for with the mix, and it's just a fun little like personal moment. I've met people who I never thought I would, without VR, I would never meet in real life, like, ever. I think one of my favorite highlights was for my 1 year anniversary. One of my friends suggested that I talk to an artist named 3R2, who is famous in the Japanese scene, though I'm pretty sure they're from Taiwan or Thailand. I'm sorry if I got that one wrong, but I hit them up, and they actually responded to me fairly quickly, and fairly they were like, yeah, let's do it. And I found out later that my boyfriend was a super fan of them, and so I got to share that with them. And then I also realized later that they had worked on music for a rhythm game I played like in high school. So it was just like, I just didn't put it two and two together until after I met them, and I was like, oh fuck, I didn't realize this is who they were. But there was a part of me that thought that was kind of cool, that I didn't like immediately fangirl. It was more like, hey, I think you're really cool and talented. And then it was like, oh shit, I didn't realize who the fuck this was till after. So that's been really cool. I think just meeting new people and hearing about all their different upbringings and experiences has been a lot of fun. And then just hearing what they put together. I've had a few DJs put mixes together that aren't typically what they play. And I think that's a fun angle to approach Garage 30 from, which I almost encourage it. I always tell people like, hey, don't be afraid to just play something you've been wanting to play, or you just haven't found the right place to do it. And I've also had people, you know, play what they're more comfortable playing, and I respect that too. I think if you have a bunch of friends who are anticipating your episode and they're expecting to hear a certain thing and you go with it, I mean, of course, I'm not going to fault you for that. But I've enjoyed every single mix so far. I mean, it's just been cool to have this much talent on the show. You know, I feel like in my head, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I don't deserve it, but that's just me being like, you know, I don't know. but I really do appreciate it. I'll leave it there.
Okay, fair enough. So why do you continue running Garage 30 to this day? What drives you to keep it going?
I think it's just that there's like a growing talent of people. Like, I was worried at first that it was going to end real abruptly, just because there'd just be a lack of interest, right? So initially when I made the show, I just told myself I was going to stop after 30 episodes. Like, if it didn't catch up or anything, I was just going to, you know, give it a good half-year run. It would be fun. It'd be cool to end on a 30, you know, whatever. But then as the interest grew, and it was like, dude, I can't just not, you know, just leave these people in the dust. You know, these are all very talented individuals or duos, depending on if that's how they're doing their mix. And I just think it's a lot of fun. It's also, in a more selfish way, it's a way to keep some sort of schedule, because, you know, when you're in like school and stuff, your days planned, you get that, and not having that was a little bit weird for me. So I think giving myself like, okay, this week I'm going to be meeting with this DJ, this DJ, this DJ. We're going to get photos done. They have this one DJ has to make sure that they finish their questionnaire for me and send their mix in to me. That part of my life, that organization is a lot of like, it's very vital for me. I really do enjoy that. And I think even though there are days I do get stressed, I think anyone running like their own little podcast event thing, there are days where it's like, fuck, like this is a lot that I have to try to get together in very short amount of time. I don't know if I'll be able to do it this time, but every time I manage to get it done. So I really enjoy that aspect. And also just, the love of the scene. I think hearing the way, sorry, my text message went off. Hearing the way people, how different sounds change. I think you can almost get a hint of like what music might have been popping at the time when they made their mix. If they decided to go the route where it's like this is clearly made for like a party, you get the idea of like, oh, this genre must have been popping off during this time, and I don't know, I enjoy it. The long story short is I think even with all the negatives that come with it, all the stresses, I still enjoy meeting the people, putting the mixes together. I still hate hearing my own voice, but I still drive through that because I know people like hearing the show for what it is. I've been told that my approach with like the whole like spoken intro is a fun little way to like introduce the DJ and stuff. So even though there are days where I sit there in front of my microphone and go like, oh, all right, can I do this in one take or do I have to do like 5 takes of this? I still just enjoy that entire process.
So where did you come up with the idea for the spoken intro? Where did that come from?
I jacked it from the BBC. I'm telling you right now, to whoever's watching this, if you go listen to the Skrillex BBC Radio 1 Essentials mix, you will basically hear how I structure the intro, like exactly. Where I just find their accolades, I ask them for their accolades, I talk about what they're doing, and then please welcome this week's DJ blank. That's actually in my notes exactly how I have it written. It's like, please welcome this week's DJ and then blank. So I just fill in whoever it is. But for some reason, I just really, I don't know. I liked the idea of starting. How do I even say it? It's just something I thought the idea was really cool. And even though I had my own apprehensions about my own voice, I still wanted to give it a shot. I had a very slight background in public speaking. Whenever I was in college, we had to basically learn how to give presentations and like pitches to like business companies. And then my job that I was working at while I was like in my early stages of VR, I was working with a lot of people who had to give pitches, and we would do coaching and stuff. So I had like enough training that I felt confident that I could still give like a decent like spoken intro and not feel like I was worried. And I mean, true. I mean, sure, I will edit it. It's not like I'm just going it raw. I will cut it up. I'll take out the breaths or like the weird like smacking noises if they get through. But I just really enjoy it. If I can really put it down to anything, it's fun. I hate hearing my own voice, but I enjoy speaking.
I can very much understand with a dislike of your own voice. Although at this rate, with how many re-listens to our own show I've gotten, I've kind of grew used to it personally. I can only imagine your own feelings, but it is weird to hear yourself after the fact. Is this how people really hear me? Do I sound like that?
I know. I know. I'm like, dude, do I need allergy pills? Am I always this nasally? Like, is this what I sound like? And then people come up to me and they'll be like, dude, I love the way your voice sounds in the intro. I'm like, are you sure? Are you just lying to me? Because I don't like it. But, I respect it. I think we're just our own worst critics,
One of the things I bring up about that, where like your perspective on your own self or work is not always correct, is I use H.P. Lovecraft. One of his short stories that I found was The Shadow of Innsmouth. I'm a personally huge Lovecraft fan, and I read up on the history on it. He disliked that story. It sat in his desk in a drawer until the day he died.
Oh.
His family found it, loved it, and published it, and it became one of his most well-known and liked stories amongst his list of short stories. So just because you yourself don't like something doesn't mean it's not good.
Thank you for that. That's a really cool way to look at that.
You're welcome. I do have more questions for you. Fair warning, we can yammer your head off all day.
No problem.
From you running Garage30 and VRChat, how has either of those experiences helped you in your real life, if at all?
I'm more willing to speak, if that makes sense. I think even though I had the college training and stuff, I didn't like doing that kind of stuff. I knew I was good at it. I don't want to toot my own horn. I knew I was good at presenting, but it's just something I didn't really enjoy doing. But now I think I'm more inclined to be able to speak about it. I think the thing that stays strong in my skill set through Garage30 is my graphic design. Being able to design the covers exactly how I want it with like my own vision in my head. And yeah, I do send it to the DJ. We get feedback, try to get exactly the cover they want. There have been some designs, I won't say who, where I preferred my version over the one they've picked, but that's a different story. I think that's the skill that it helps me strengthen more, especially because now I don't work in a field where I'm doing graphic design all the time. And there went my leg. Oh, there it goes. Hi, everyone. I don't work in a field where I don't get to really flex my graphic design as much as I used to. So that lets me still keep that creative aspect up with me. It helps my time management a lot. I actually started, because of Garage30, I started scheduling things way better in real life. Like I don't just like blindly go into work not knowing what's going on. I do like keep marks of like, okay, who am I going to work with today? What time am I going in? What's my role today? And I think it's helped me stay a little bit more organized. I think I've gotten an appreciation for different kinds of music. I used to kind of be like a one or two genre Andy. But now, like, just hearing everyone else's different music, I have an appreciation for a newfound appreciation for like techno. I started really getting into baile funk through a few DJs playing that on the show. I found some house tracks. I'm a house head, but I found some tracks I just would never have found with like the way I was going about finding my music. I was kind of like a bangers only kind of guy. But then I found a lot of music that kind of fills in the gaps in between, and I notice how it makes sets flow a lot better, and I enjoy finding music like that a lot more. So I think it's also just helped my music taste change as times has gone about with the show. I think that's all I can think of right now of like things that's helped me improve.
Perfectly fine. What kinds of things have you learned about the VRChat rave scene through Garage30 Radio?
I've learned that DJs are a lot more approachable than people might think or have like the idea of. I think I was under the impression that I was going to have to like fight tooth and nail to get a lot of people on, but it turns out I just was like, hey, I have this show. Do you want to be on it? They're like, yeah. And I was like, well, that was a lot easier than I thought it would be. And then sometimes I'll have DJs reach out to me, and I think they might have the same impression where they might feel like I'm a little bit unapproachable. And I'm kind of glad that once we've like spoken, that idea kind of gets like thrown out the window. And I think I've also learned that people just like people just want their music to be heard, whether it's music they like playing or their own music. It's just I feel like I've had very few situations where I've been put in a place where I didn't know if the DJ just wanted to be on the show because of the show's name, or if they wanted to actually express, the music they wanted to express. And I'm really thankful for that. I think the fact that everyone's just very nice and humble, and I've never been put in a spot where I felt uncomfortable being with anybody, and it's just been a really good experience. It helps me. I don't know. I get hope. It helps me be a little bit more hopeful with people.
Mm. I could very much empathize with all of that. When Raptor and I first started interviewing people, I had the exact same assumptions of the people we'd reach out to. Like, would anyone say yes? Are they going to do that? Do I have to fill out a form? What kind of form do I have to fill out? Okay, who do I go to? And you come to find out as you talk to people, most VRChat DJs and people in the club scene will be very willing to give you their time. So I very much agree with everything you say. It is quite the thing to learn when you're on the other side of the thing. It's like most people are going to be very willing to just like speak with you, and so you can just approach and talk with people. They're not like some unknown deity from like if a real life show where they're like security guards standing at a stage. You can't approach me, you won't do it. In VR, it's like they want you to come speak with them. They want to interact with you and to join.
Yeah. I definitely have. Learning that was a huge step for me feeling more confident in the show too. Like once I realized that people were a lot more willing to give me, I always say thank you for giving me at least the 2 hours of your time. Time is valuable for a lot of people. So just the fact that they're willing to like take time out of their day, talk to me real quick, and then just put the mix together. I know I say 2 hours. There have been DJs who have like redone their mix like 5 times. And I'm like, no, you don't have to worry about it. If there's a mistake, it humanizes it. Like, it's okay. But I also get like the desire for it to be perfect. So it's just been a really fun, a really good experience, a really cool way to learn about people as a whole, especially in like this kind of community where it's like we all are like, this isn't what we look like. It's just really cool to see how someone acts, what is their what they're like,
Yeah. Now, have you started interacting with VRChat any differently since Garage30 Radio, or do you treat everything the exact same as you would be playing outside of like more of a professional sense?
I don't think I've really changed the way I treat VR. I think I've always seen it as just like a really cool space for people to meet, at least VRChat specifically. There's obviously different experiences with different kinds of games and stuff, but specifically here, I have always seen this as just a really cool social space. When I was a kid, I played a lot of Club Penguin, so I've always kind of been like a social game kind of head. So getting like the modern day version of that, where now I get to like sit across from someone and have a conversation rather than just type stuff out, it's a lot of fun. I think this is gonna sound bad, but I'm almost unapologetically unprofessional. When I worked at my like corporate job, I was like traumatized with like the things I had to do there and like how I had to speak to everybody. The sound of Microsoft Teams haunts me to this day. Anytime I hear it go off, it's like my fight or flight reacts. So I almost try to be like unapologetically myself. Like even when I'm meeting people in photography, it's not like, "Hi, my name is Blackoutboi. Nice to meet you. I'm your photographer of the day." It's like, "Yo, thank you for giving me your time. Come over here. We're gonna take some glamour shots of you." I'll like play music in my head, or I'll play music in like the world just to try to make people more comfortable. I'll like be like hyping them up as I'm taking photos. Like, yes, bitch. I like this angle. Keep it. It's so much fun. I really try to have as much fun as I can with it, because I feel like if I were to get too professional with it, it would start becoming less fun for me.
Okay. Now, from being on the person like in like the corporate job, for example, who was the one fulfilling someone's orders, what was it like for doing the opposite side, being the one organizing and orchestrating a vision? What was it like for you, like seeing things from the opposite side of the table?
It kind of sucked. I realized really early on that I was like, man, being a cog in the machine sucks, but like it's only one thing I have to worry about, you know? Now it's like, okay, well, I enjoy having the scheduling. It's like now it's like, oh God, I have a schedule. It's like I have to make sure, like actually right now, even though I'm on my break, I'm still like talking to the DJs who are opening up the next season like already, just because I need to get their photos ready and get their designs ready. And then usually during my break, it's like it's not really a break. It's just more like I'm not going to do any episodes, but I need to work on other stuff. Like for my season 3, I'm changing the way the covers are. I'm making a new intro. I'm probably changing up how I speak the intro. I think I've done the same format for so long that I would like to be a little bit more flowy. So I'm working on that. So it sucks in a way that I'm busier. You know, I don't. There are days where I'll have to like alter my real life plans around getting the episode out, or sometimes my real life plans will be so important that I have to find a way to alter my Garage 30 plans. Like for example, I had a vacation at the end of the year last year, and to make sure I still got the episodes out on Sunday because I wouldn't be home on Sunday to upload it, I had to make sure that like the last 2 DJs sent me their mixes like a week ahead of time, so where I could record their thing, upload it, and just unprivate, like just have it uploaded on SoundCloud and just like make it public instead of going through the process of uploading it. So like trying to navigate through that is kind of sucky. Like this year, there's a trip I'm going on at some point that I know I'm gonna have to like really find a way to like find out who's playing that week, make sure that they can get their stuff to me on time. You know, I had basically through all this, I almost gained a newfound appreciation for the people who can, like, who enjoy doing that, and like that's just what they do in their daily life. You know, it's something that I think I'm good at, but I just don't enjoy as much as some people who like their job is just that. Yeah, I mean, also that being said, I don't know how much this has to do with the question you just asked me, but I also keep this like very private from my real life friends. Like, I think of all the people in my IRL life, only like 4 or 5 people know that I do the show, and then when I've inevitably add another person to the list of people who know, they're always like, "You've been doing this for like 2 fucking years? That's crazy!" Like, and it's just a really fun thing to like. It's just like my own thing, you know. I don't think my mom and dad kind of know about it, but they don't know like the extent of it. My younger sister doesn't know. My other family members don't know. So most of my friends, I keep that like I don't know if it's a mixture of me being a little embarrassed or like or just because I know the way they are, if that makes sense. So I just know it. It's just better just keep it for myself. You know, I enjoy it being what it is. You know, it stays in this space. If people find it on SoundCloud, they find it on SoundCloud or Mixcloud. But most of the time, my IRL acquaintances don't know that I even have like a podcast per se. You know.
Okay.
Sorry, my hair is caught in my headset and it's itchy. Well, I'm standing in a weird, awkward spot for a second. Okay, much better. There we go.
I can empathize with that. What was in the beginning when you decided to like not tell people when you started doing it? Why did you decide to like keep it separated?
I guess without getting too much into like the dynamics of some of my IRL friends, I just live in a state where things that are different aren't always accepted too much. I've God, I don't want to sound like I'm trauma dumping, but like in my friend groups, I've always kind of been like the butt of the joke for like a while, and I kind of like haha rub it off. That's so funny, you know, haha. But because of that, I know that there are things that I don't tell them about. Specifically, like, hey, every week I meet with different people to do a radio show in this VR game. And I don't know, just sometimes I think about having to explain that. It's just not something I want to do. It's just I don't want to deal with what they have to say about it. You know, I even had like I won't I know he's not gonna find it, but there was recently this one time I had this friend like almost half guilt me because he wanted to hang out, and I was like, I'm sorry, dude, I don't feel like hanging out right now. It's like he's like, all right, go play one of your VR shows at your event. And I was like, this is why I don't tell people about it, because then it becomes like a weird weapon, you know. So it's like, yeah, I just it's just for my own personal like not having to deal with that is a huge benefit of just like not being afraid to like say what I want on the show, or at least not almost catering my speak. So if my IRL friends hear it, they don't make fun of me for it, if that makes sense.
I can understand that. Well, I hope one day you reach a point in which you can be synonymous in both VR and real life with what you do, because I can definitely understand running one of these yourself and having to sit to explain to someone in real life. So you see, there's this podcast in VR. It's like, oh, what's this VR chat thing? Oh God! Now I have to pull out the map with red lines and string. Okay, you all now you understand.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely can understand with having to go through that.
Yeah.
But at the exact same point, I do hope you're able to one day find peace in both realities, in a sense. Hello, I'm going to quickly interrupt your video. Please come follow us on any of our socials. We have a card down that way in the description, Metaversedegen card.co. You can find us on Discord. You can find us on Twitter, which X, whatever. Right here in this space, you'll see the @ you can find me, Lion. And as well, we have a Patreon, which we've started a whole other show as a thank you for those who've signed up, such as Training Fangs, Forbidden Zero, and Niche. So thank you all for watching the video on how these games are going. I'll leave you to the rest of it. Enjoy.
You know, I think it'll come sooner than later. You know, I think as my friends get older and become a little less childish, it'll be easier to be like, yeah, for the last like 4 years or 3 years, I've been doing this podcast thing where every week I talk about a new DJ who plays this kind of music, and it's in VR chat specifically. And now that assuming in 2, 3, 4 years that VR becomes bigger than it is now, it'll be easier to explain all that, you know. But as of right now, I'm enjoying my little private moment. Yeah.
I could definitely understand. Although I do think we both, or everyone for the exact moment, I think VR chat and VR, especially VR chat's going to get a lot bigger. Like, for example, ShelterCon, for an example, with events like that running, where they're filling venues and have swaths of people show up, it's going to catch people's eye. What is the ShelterCon thing? Oh, well, and then they explain, and then like, I want to go see some of these things, and off they go. Then you got large conventions like Vrchat, furry conventions, and I can go on and on with all these things running in real life. And eventually there are I do know there's some clubs as well that are both VR and real life clubs, and all these things going on simultaneously. I see 3 years from now, the numbers are going to get bigger. Over time, it's just going to get larger and larger, especially as tech gets cheaper and cheaper too. I think it's a win, not an if.
Yeah, that's true. I do think that too. I think I've been to a few maps where they've done the VR IRL like crossover, and I think that is such a fun experience. Like, because again, it's like I know I won't be able to speak to them because they're like looking through a screen. It's not like we can have a conversation, but it's just seeing that they're realizing that there's more people like enjoying the same thing they are, just in a different space, and like seeing people. I have a bunch of photos from the Loner IRL event where it's just a bunch of people like waving at us, or like they had small interactions with each other, and it's just it's really cool. It's really cool to see. I'm really hoping we get to a point where that happens, like where it becomes more affordable to do that, and it can happen maybe a little bit more often. But I also understand that it might be a logistical nightmare to put that together. So, you know, whenever it gets to the point where we can just kind of do it, it'd be really cool. But yeah, it's probably a lot of work now.
I personally am not for the cheaper stuff. I want to see like hollow rooms where you see VR chat avatars and real life people raving or enjoying experiences in the same place, where both kind of mimic each other in a way where, I guess the same way in VR, you can be tricked into thinking this is sort of a reality, in that sense where you could see both. And it's not just a flat screen, it's an actual VR chat e-boy avatar dancing with you in whatever venue has this weird hollow tech. Whatever it is you choose.
God, imagine.
That would be sick.
My
like
dream.
Star Trek, but Star Trek holorooms?
Yeah.
Like that, but like you could have people both kind of existing in this weird middle space.
Yeah, I think I mean, the day that happens, I will be super sick, let me tell you. I think that'd be a lot of fun to just I'm sorry. The amount of shirtless guys that'll be there would be so good.
Oh my god. Oh shit.
I'm sorry. It's like part of my brand.
That's
I'm sorry.
okay. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it's no big deal. I kind of want to see people's real life reactions to some of the avatars and stuff in VR chat that's normal. Like furries,
Right?
semi, how do I put it? I guess a bit more risque looking avatars or really over the top bright shiny avatars or whatever people choose. And it's seeing people's like never seen VR chat or a video game before. They go into this weird VR chat or weird real life club venue. It's like, we have holograms from the VR metaverse. I want to see what this thing is. Why is there a semi shirtless furry with 9 tails dancing here? What the fuck is this?
Right? It's a cool experience. I think it's just, and then almost in a weird way, I almost feel like rave spaces almost. I don't know if they would it'd be more like surprise in a positive way, because I feel like rave spaces in general already kind of have a culture where you can be a little bit more risque with like your clothing or like what you're wearing. So I feel like the shock won't be the risque part; it'll be the fact that it's just like something that it's not a normal human as they're used to. But I think it'd be a lot of fun to see something like that like pop up in the next 3, 4, 5, 10 years, however long it takes us to get to that point,
Okay. So what kinds of projects are you working on the next couple of years that you have in mind or you want to see happen?
I have been asked a lot. I say a lot. A few people have asked me how long I plan on doing like Garage30 Radio. And I've always told myself that I would just keep going until interest stopped or until I got too tired to do it, where it became too much for me to keep up with it. As of right now, I don't see that ending anytime soon. I feel like I have at most 3 years, 2 years left in me to keep doing it. Now, I've always also had in the back of my head that if someone wanted to keep it going, I would just give the reins to them and just transfer like all ownership of it to them. If it stays popular, but I'm getting to a point where I don't want to do it anymore, or something in my real life is getting it's taking a majority of my schedule to where I can't make time for that anymore, I would still like to keep the project running through someone else's vision, or if I just want to let it have a normal little send off, I would like that too. I have an idea of how I want the last episode to play whenever the last episode does come out. I won't say what it is because obviously that's like spoilers, but I already have the ending in my head. So whenever that comes about, I know how it's gonna play out. I will try not to be emotional about it, but I most likely will be. But like other projects, I don't know. I feel like Garage30 keeps me it keeps me busy enough that I feel like I don't want / have to take new projects on. I will help some people every once in a while, like help run an event or small things of that nature. But I think as of right now, I'm kind of coasting. I'm like, this Garage30 is going to be my project, my little baby for a while. How that changes in the next few years, I don't know. If SoundCloud for some reason decides to strike me down with all the music that I've had there, then we might run into some issues, but I'm not going to think about that. As of right now, everything's smooth. So
okay. So what makes you want to choose SoundCloud to have your podcast run on?
I did Mixcloud for a while. I really enjoyed Mixcloud. I used it when I was like a sophomore in high school, and once I had this idea, I knew exactly that's the platform I wanted to go to. And then they just changed like a lot of their services and their terms of service, and or like the way they even run the website. And while I understand from a business perspective that's what they had to do, I realized that one, Mixcloud didn't have the pull that I desired. For some reason, it was just easier to get people to listen on SoundCloud than it was on Mixcloud. I don't know what the reasoning behind it. I don't know if it's a name thing, whatever. So after I hit the 1 year of Garage30 and I took my first break, I decided that I was gonna like use some of the money that I had to buy like a year of SoundCloud Premium just to see did I like the platform. And so far, I've really enjoyed the platform a lot more. I feel like it's easier to upload and re-upload stuff. With the premium stuff that I pay for, it's not that affordable. If you're not like uploading a mix every weekend, I personally don't recommend it. But that's just me. For what I do, it's kind of nice. But like if someone messes up their mix and I didn't realize it till later, it's really easy to just re-upload it and it doesn't like alter the file that much or alter the link or the web page. So it's easy. It's really easy to just kind of fix mistakes. Like I said earlier, the reach is a lot better. I've had DJs who aren't even like VR DJs reach out to me through SoundCloud to ask if they could be on it, and I had to like let them know that unfortunately, as of right now, it's still only a VR exclusive thing. But if they'd like to like, if they ever are interested in getting into the space, I could like help them out. But as of right now, I really do want to keep it exclusive for VR people, just because I know there's a lot of bedroom DJs out there who would also like a platform, but that's just I'm not the person for that right now. I'm sorry.
Now, did any of those SoundCloud DJs take you up on the offer to come in this space? And if so, what was the reaction to it?
So as of right now, no. But there's been one producer I've been talking to from Japan who I actually met, not even through my Garage30 account. It was just we met. One of his only song got recommended to me on SoundCloud, and it's super crazy because it's not like it had like there was no reason for it to get recommended to me. There was no connection I had to him. There was I don't even think our SoundCloud likes were similar. He just randomly got recommended to me, and because he was so small, whenever he saw I was following him and I liked the track, etc., I found his Twitter account. I followed him there. He looked more into me and realized that I did Garage30 Radio. And so he was asking me about that. And so I've been telling him about the VR scene, especially because in Japan, it's like a whole different scene. I like gave him people he should follow if he really wants to get into it. The only unfortunate part is that he uses a Mac. So I think as of right now, there is no like real easy way to play VR chat on a Mac, but I also don't know anything about computers like that. So if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But, he's been the one person who's been really receptive to the whole thing. I think other DJs have just been like, hey, okay, well, let me know if I can play the set, and they just leave it at that. But this guy specifically, he's really interested in it. From what I can tell, he's really interested in it. So yeah, long story short, most DJs have not taken me up on the offer to move over to VR. But the one person that did, I'm hoping that he enjoys his journey whenever it does start.
That is interesting. Would you have an idea why some of those SoundCloud DJs have no interest in coming to VR? Or trying VR?
I think, I don't know, I feel like VR chat, like when you mention VR and VR chat, people who aren't involved in the scene might immediately think of like the meme videos that came out like years ago. And so they just think it's just some like weird little space where people are like just being lucky little assholes, VR, I think, is also in a way still ever so slightly too expensive for just people to just kind of pick up. I'm not saying those DJs are probably in a shitty financial situation, but I don't know what their life is like. I don't know if they can just up and pick up a headset. And I've also told people they can do it in desktop, but then they're like, well, what's the point? I don't know. What else? I had this train of thought and it just let's see. I'm so sorry. DJs, blah blah blah. Also, I just think it's, without sounding too mean, I think some people who reach out to me through SoundCloud just see that I have a following and some mixes get like 600-700 plays and they just think, I just want my stuff there. I think, I don't want to call anyone like a clout goblin or anything like that. But there have been some people reached out to me that I think have only just wanted just a platform. And whenever I bring up the other stuff, it's like, this is too much for me. I don't care. I'm just gonna go find someone else who will take my mix. That's fine. I respect it. If you have a certain way you want to do your thing, go about and do it. I don't want to like accidentally pull you into a space that you either are gonna hate or maybe you'll love it and you're missing out. But we'll never know.
Well, to be fair, based on my VR chat experience and the people I've brought on, most people who enter like the rave scene, for example, and here in VR, usually find a home there almost immediately if they're into that kind of stuff. And they usually end up down a pipeline of sorts. They either begin DJing or they start their own club. They end up getting involved in real life events. They then DJ or play at real life events and then just end up down this rabbit hole of stuff. I'm sure those people in SoundCloud could find a home there if they so chose, if they wish to open their mind up a little bit and try something a little different.
Yeah, I think, but like you said, I think that's just the first part. That's the hardest, which is just like being willing to jump into the space, and especially because it's not like you jump into the space and it's like an immediate, like, oh, you already found like a venue you can run. It does take like a few months, maybe a few months, maybe a year to get to that point. And even then, or maybe less for some people, but even then, it's just being willing to put in the time for that could just sometimes not be what someone's willing to do. And, I respect it. I understand some people's grinds isn't a different thing. And then I wouldn't want to like fuck up their grind that way, but I could also do a better job at pitching VR to them. That's another thing. So we'll see.
Well, I can agree with you that the grind from people here in VR chat is something on a crazy other level. Like when I first started investing time and stuff into the platform and learning about all this stuff, I was flabbergasted that, there's some DJs that play like 20, 30 shows in VR chat a week. It's like, how, why? That is a lot.
Right. I'm like, do you not get tired of listening to music, friend? You know what I enjoy sometimes? Silence. But respect. I literally mean nothing bad by that. It is a grind that I will not ever get to like. Some people enjoy it. That's just not for me, but I respect everyone who can just like straight up be like, hey, I just played an event. Who wants to do a pop-up at 3 a.m. and I play a whole completely different set? Who's down? Me? You? Yeah? It's just like, fuck, dude. Like, I'm tired. I'm ready for bed. But it's like, I got 2 more hours in me, dog.
Well, I found most people in VR chat who find their craft or something they enjoy tend to approach their craft in a similar manner. It's like, for example, I want to use DJs as an example since we're on the subject. Some people I've met who kind of treat like DJing or making music as a hobby, not necessarily like a job. It's like, cool, I'll make some songs every now and again, and that's fine. And then there's the VR chat person. Oh, I just finished like 20 songs this week. I'm going to play all of them in separate sets in 30 different venues in the same 2 or 3 days. I'm going to get about 2 hours of sleep and do it all out again another 3 days. It's like, okay, that's a different level. It's a different grind.
And then on top of that, they're like, cheers, everyone. It's like, oh, shit. But yeah, I mean, fuck, dude. I respect it. Long story short, I respect it. I also am one of those people who like, I've produced music every once in a while. Like I like to think of myself as I make a song and I wait 6 months and I make another song. But, there's a few people in the scene who I really respect that they're just able to just like throw out music or like constantly work on the edits and stuff. It's just, I wish I had that kind of brain, but it's just like I get overwhelmed thinking about it.
Well, there's a saying, if you enjoy what you do, you never work a day in your life. And it's
true.
If you enjoy the grind, you're not really grinding at that point. You're just having fun. If you enjoy the music or you enjoy DJing or you enjoy working in Unity and Blender to make avatars or worlds like ones we're in now, it's not really work. It's just a hobby, a passion, something you do. But the level of intent and focus a lot of VR chat people put into those crafts, whatever it may be. It's just mind numbing.
Nah, seriously, it is. I've seen some maps where it's like they don't really get like traction or like not crazy traction, right? And I'm just like, dude, like all the work you put into like this place, it's just like it's psycho. Maybe psycho is not the word I should use. It's kind of crazy. It's just it's respect. I really do respect it. I think as an artist in my own little way, I think seeing artists thrive in their own medium is like super super fucking cool. And it's just that's why I'm like I guess that's why I've also like not left the scene like the way like even though I don't attend events as often, it's just really cool to see what people come up with. Like we when I was starting in like late 2021, I think one of my favorite venues that didn't get much traction after a while was a venue called Monolith, and it was just like this dark room with like a cement DJ stand and like neon. Oh god, it's been so long I don't really remember it, but it's just so like it was iconic enough for me that it was like the turning point for me where like I really enjoy coming to this space, because if people can just put shit out like this all the time, I want all parts of it, I want the whole shebang. And that's what I've gotten. And just seeing all the different kinds of projects people come up with, things that will maybe not be iconic for me, but for someone else it became like a staple for them, like maybe it's their kind of monolith, um and it's fun to see all the create. And then just every time there's like a new wave of DJs who come in, first you'll see a bunch of DJs get booked for like a few months, and then suddenly there's these new names that start getting booked a lot, and it's like, oh, I wonder where they came from, what are they like, it's cool to see the progression happen in the scene and how much it gets bigger and stuff. Now we have like what 90% instances, and before it was like you were lucky to get a full instance at like 2 years ago, but now it's like you have like 8 different like sub instances running with that are all full, and you need people like moderating them all. It's crazy. I love it. It's
well, crazy enough too. I think VRChat's also testing 120 person instances with select groups of people, so they're about to get bigger too, I think, soon as well.
My computer is screaming thinking about that. I cannot imagine 120. That would be sick as fuck. But I cannot imagine what that would be like. Oh my god. I have to make it to 1. I just have to make it to 1 and just see what happens. And then it'll be yeah. Maybe it'll be my time to upgrade my computer. Who knows?
Well, at least with a lot of the new tools VRChat's bringing in or have brought in and are looking into as well, having those instances with like 80 to 100 people in it, you can moderate the amount of draw it takes from your PC now by hand, like how much of an avatar you can see, how many people you can see, and of what level. And then there's the cloning system they have up now, where you have them on Shield. If the avatar uploader checked the funny box in the website, you can see a dumbed down version won't hurt you as much. So at least it's not like it was a few years ago, or if you jumped in an 80 person instance, you're just like slideshowing the entire thing.
Yeah. Honestly, the tools that they've come up with now, my favorite one is the hiding people from a certain distance. It does take away some of the coolness of seeing a full venue, but I will tolerate that for my frames. And I think the fact that I can like set a distance enough that it feels like people are surrounding me, and because my avatar is kind of short, I don't really see over them to see it's not full up there. It still gives me that immersion. I'm hoping that with the 120 testing rooms, whatever they're deciding to do now, that there's also like another set of people working on how to make that as easy of a process to work through, like for people with lower end computers, or just people who want to come see the events but maybe just don't want to invest in something that's gonna run it amazingly well.
Well, To the same point, you can also blame us VRChat players for making avatars that are very poor, with a bajillion polygons, more particles and materials on it than anything, and worlds that are so in-depth and realistic. Guess what? Each item has its own texture, and you have to load all of it. You can't really blame VRChat on that.
Yeah, that's very valid. I do understand. Imagine though, like VRChat, you guys gotta step it up. You got to let us be able to use all this. Fuck all the other guys. You need to figure that out. Don't clip this.
I'm clipping this. It's going to be the intro hook of the podcast.
Oh my god! Oh no! Blackoutboi, Garage30 doesn't appreciate the VRChat developers.
No, I won't do that.
Listen to this twink. No.
Well, maybe one day we'll have the VR version of Google Stadia where you're not really running VR anymore. It's on a PC. It's on some borrowed PC somewhere else. Or maybe the servers itself host and run the instance where then you just put on the funny magic techno goggles and you could be in another land at that point instead of, look, guess what? My PC sounds like a jet turbine. Is it on fire? Oh, no, not yet.
Right,
it's just
all
mad.
the time. Oh my god, all the time. It's like I'm always here in the background. I just hear like what, and I'm like, oh god, like is it happening? Is today the day? And it's like, nope, not this time. Do you think this is going to be a question for me to you? Do you think we'll get to a point where you think computer like VR could be run through a different computer on a different server like a Stadia?
We do have, like, for example, the Quest like he's running on right now, where you have, what's the program you're running right now? Remote desktop? Virtual desktop.
Yeah, it's a virtual desktop.
Virtual desktop, where that's sort of happening now, where you'll have a program running on the headset that'll then borrow through Wi-Fi another virtual PC in a farm, and then you can run it that way, where you're not really running off your PC, you're borrowing your PC from a farm of PCs, whether it's virtual or real. That exists now, and you could run it that way for you can get PC VR quality from a Quest. Give it maybe, I don't know, I'd say 5 years, and it may be more of a thing or a lot easier to run and have it be smooth. But some level of that is happening now. Like things like a remote desktop, and you can use other things like AirLink and stuff like that, where you're not really, you can attach to things a little further away. 5 years, you may see better versions of those things come out, I think. 5 years minimum.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I hope so, because I feel like we've had like instances like the Google Stadia or like the Ouya or the Ouya. How was that? You know what I'm talking about? It was like that one console that like yeah, I think that was like its whole shtick was that you didn't have to like run it yourself. It was like borrowing from a server, but I think it was so early on that like you needed a strong internet connection to run it. And I think at the time, you know, I don't think fiber was a thing yet. So unless you were like paying like ass loads of money to get like 100 gigs of speed, which is great, you know, but it still just was like they were struggling to get it to run. I only said it because I feel like things like I'm gonna fuck up its name, the Ouya or like the Stadia. Every time I see a new product like that come out, I almost feel like it fails. Not super soon after it comes out, but like soon enough. It was like, damn, like what if it worked, you know? So that's why I'm hoping that like if VR truly does get to the point where we can run shit off of like a different computer somewhere, like or like a bigger, more efficient version of like a virtual desktop, you know. That I feel like would open the doors for so many people. It probably wouldn't be as hard for me to sell the fact that you should get in VR to do DJ so you can be on my show as a SoundCloud DJ if it worked out that way, you know?
Well, I think a lot of those deals like the Google Stadia is just releasing earlier than the technology will allow them to run it. Like, for example, with the Google Stadia, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, and please put it in the comments if I'm wrong, when Google Stadia came out, the amount of internet data required to play those games was something that would just make the internet company itself cry if more than one person was to play it, use it on their own internet servers of sorts. If you had like 100,000 people using a Google Stadia, internet providers would just begin crying to seeing like 100,000 gigs being used by this one household of 5 people. I'm over exaggerating. Please be nice. But I do remember that draw was a big downside, and I think some of those ideas will get shelved, like most technology and how it usually progresses and move forward. It'll come out, it'll fail, idea will get shelved, years will pass, and then it'll be more pliable later, whatever it may be. And I thought I remember hearing rumors of Google Stadia or some level of it coming back. I don't know, but some of those ideas aren't gone forever. Even if it may fail at the moment, at least this shows there's a want to progress. And it is possible with the Google Stadia level thing, like with remote desktop as an example. You can run VR chat on a remote desktop on a Quest. It's like a $500-$600 headset. You can then spend a certain amount a month or a year with remote desktop, and then that's it. You don't have a $2,000 gaming PC sitting off in the corner sounding like a jet turbine. You just got it somewhere else.
Yeah, that's someone else's problem, not mine. Oh, there went my leg again. Sorry. No, but I hard agree.
Maybe one day.
Well, definitely one day. I think this a piece of technology. I know this has nothing to do with what we were just talking about. There's a piece of technology that I kind of want to see come back, and it was like the Microsoft Glass. It was like the glasses that that you like play Minecraft on a table or whatever. That when that prototype came out, I thought that was so cool, and then I just feel like I heard nothing else about it. So I hope that eventually does make a comeback.
Well, it sort of is making a comeback with augment AR headsets, things like you have like the Quest, the Apple Vision Pro, and the want for that kind of thing is coming out now. Even with the funny memes where you'll see the person of the Apple Vision Pro sitting on the train, playing with things and pinching their fingers. Yeah. What was the Google Glass, I think, is probably what we're getting now, the earlier test concepts for those things. So a lot, as I said before, even though Google Glass never worked or never launched, there are still versions of that idea coming out now, 10, 15 years after the fact. So you'll see things like that. I think 10 years, you'll see AR headsets getting a lot smaller. You're not wearing a 20-pound toaster on the front of your face. Instead, it'll be a lot lighter, like a pair of goggles or Google Glass, for an example.
Yeah, don't even get me started about this fucking toaster thing. Let me tell you. There are days, bro. I'm sorry, I don't know your pronouns, but there are days, friend, where it's just like it becomes painfully obvious that I have this thing on. I was going to call it a stupid thing. It is not a stupid thing. It is a very delightful product. But there are days where I realize I have this thing on, and it's like, fuck, bro. I wish it wasn't like, I take off the headset. There's like a red mark on my face. I look disheveled. I look like I just went through something. I just like, can I have some water? I'm sorry.
One thing I wonder is, have you seen those memes or the gamer headset memes where like someone will take off the headset, the gamer dent? I wonder if we have that version, but in the shape of a VR headset on the front of your head.
I hope not. This whole time, this entire time, I've had like a little slight face dent. Ooh, I would think things. I'm gonna go check after this is done. I don't think so.
Hello, audience who's gamers. Right? I'm speaking to you now. If you wear headsets on a regular basis, like the one you're probably wearing right now, if you just move it back a little bit and feel the top of your head, guarantee you have a little dent from wearing that headset. A whole lot. Fun fact, You're welcome.
I actually have a glasses dent right here, like on the side of my head, because I've worn glasses all my life. There's just a little dent. I'm so glad it's not visible. It's like all those little things may be like ever so slightly self-conscious, but if it's not visible, it's like, oh, no one knows. I forget it's there until like I rub the side of my head and was like, oh fuck, there's a hole. Or there's a little divot. Where did this come from? Curse these eyes.
Watch everyone who watched this video just checked their head to make sure they didn't have a dent. Someone probably is panicking. I got a dent on my head.
Right. I
think the worst inverse of a cone head.
No. It's like the worst part is like I feel like it's the headphone dent you get sometimes from gaming, like with the gaming headset for too long because it's so close, and you like look like you just turn your side and it's just like normal. Oop, and then it's just horrible. I gotta like brush my hair to try to get to fix it. I'm just like, please go away. Just I don't need to know the pain of losing my Valorant game, and now I have a dent on my head, bro. One or the other.
Watch as this new thing is coming about, where with the gamer dents, people start developing certain head masks where they push their head back into shape. It's forced their head on some weird clear plastic thing that wear all the time. Kind of like the Japanese shaped watermelons, but your head.
Oh, yeah, I'll just take the dent. It's all right. Actually, the dent doesn't sound that bad anymore.
I almost guarantee you, with as many people on this planet, someone is going to be thinking about doing that to fix their gamer dent.
And you know, respect to you, mystery person. I hope it works out. I'm glad you're innovating for all of us. Pioneer for real.
I almost guarantee you, when that a product that like that comes out, I'm gonna rush to grab that old video with the watermelon guy. You know, the song's like, I got watermelon.
Yeah.
I'm going to use him as a meme to make fun of the guy, even though I understand where he's coming from.
No. You're not. Just because you made a good, innovative decision does not mean we're free to make fun of it. No. We're not free. Yeah, you know what I mean. You know what I meant.
Well, to be fair, it's also kind of funny that a lot of us gamers have that fun dent on top of the head because of things. So there's a whole lot of shade to be thrown around there, just a little bit.
Yeah. It's like our symbol. It's like we're out in public and we see it like, oh, I know what you are.
When's the last time you've seen grass, kid? I see the dent on your head.
Right. What's your elo at? What rank are you? That dent's too deep for it to be a low rank.
Console or PC?
Hey, are you in it for the big bucks or you're just shitting on your friends?
Have you spent more on your rent or your gaming setup?
Have I spent more on my rent or my gaming setup? I think I spent more on my rent. I got real for a second. I was like, have I?
No, I wasn't asking you, but I was just saying.
No, I know. It was a self-reflecting moment. I was like, wait, have I spent more on rent or my gaming setup? Am I being lumped in with this group? Did I not know about this? Life choices.
Well, to be fair, VR does have that fun pipeline where there's the gaming PC, there's the VR headset. Eventually, you're almost guaranteed to want to get full body. And all of that lumped up is not a cheap amount of money. Like to get a decent gaming PC, let's say like $1,400 to get something that'll run. Then there's the $1,000 to $1,400 for a headset. Then there's about $500 to $800 for full body, and that's not including your VRCDN if you do streaming, if you do DJing.
And then extra trackers if you want like more trackers to like check your body. Fuck, dude. There used to be this joke. I think people still say this. I'm talking like this is an old joke that this is the most expensive free game ever, and it's so true. It is so true. The amount of money that just gets dumped into this sometimes, it's crazy. But you know, it's like I've spent hella money on like skins in games. So like, it's just like, where do you want to? You know, if you enjoy it enough that you're willing to put the money into it, I think it's worth it. No matter, don't let people make fun of you unless you're like not eating to do it. Then I'll make fun of you. But like, if you can afford it just for the fun of it, fuck yeah. Like, enjoy it for what it is. Don't let it stop you. Yeah, you know what I mean. I was trying to be.
If you have that family member dad who works at cars is making fun of you for your gaming addiction, you should retort by asking how much he spent in his car during its lifetime. What about you, Raptor?
That's true.
You're a car guy.
Joke's on you. This entire podcast was just to do that.
If you don't believe them, folks, they're not filling you full of shit because I've dumped a lot of money into cars.
Can I ask you, like, what do you have, like, a project car you're working on right now, or like a favorite project car?
No, I don't have one right at this moment. I did,
okay.
and I sold it, but it's pretty bad that when people go, yeah, I'm on my fifth or sixth car, and I look at them, I'm on number 95.
Oh my God! Whoa! That's a lot bigger of a number than I expected it to be. What's
Yeah.
I hate to change this to like a questionnaire about you, but what is your favorite part about the whole car stuff? I have car friends, but like I don't know anything about cars, so I'm just curious. Like, what do you enjoy about the car?
The car
stuff?
situation is something that if you work on it and say you work on it and you build it, and it's not, oh, you built it, it will come. Yeah, it takes a lot out of you. Sometimes you get really, it's just like anything else that you work on or do. You get to that point where you get a dead spot into it and you just look at it going, Jesus, I'm talking, you're taking something that sat in somebody's field or somebody else's project, and you're trying to fix it so it becomes yours, not theirs. All that kind of, and you sit there and look at it. And I'm talking, you got the frame here and the body here, and it's stripped down to bare metal. It might be in primer, and the body's here. The doors are scattered all over the garage. And you just sit there and you look at this like, is this bitch ever going to go back if I put model glue to it? You know, it's just one of those fucking things. It's anything you do in life, and you get it when you get done with it, and it finally starts up and rolls out, and everything else like this. There's nobody in the world that can take it apart and pick it apart except for you. And you look at them, and most car people know you don't nag on somebody else's ride. I don't give a shit how bad it is, because it takes a lot of effort to take something from nothing and bring it back to life. And then when you got it, then you've got something to show for and go, hey, maybe one day, maybe one of my grandkids might want it. If not, they sell it or whatever the deal is. But somebody else is going to enjoy the ride afterwards. It's not just sitting rotting away in somebody's field or being crushed. And it has its motives. It has its motives. So, yeah.
That's cool. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Well, Blackoutboi, thank you very much for joining us this evening. It's been an absolute amazing pleasure getting to meet you. So thank you for your time.
No,
of course. I'm glad you guys invited me. It was a lot of fun. I don't really get to talk about it often, so it's been a really cool experience. So thank you. You also been really nice to me. You asked me some good questions, made me think today. I just woke up. I didn't think I was gonna be thinking.
I hope you're awake now.
Oh yeah, I'm awake now. I guess what I'm about to go fucking do is check my side of my fucking head to see if there's any dents from this headset.
I bet everyone watching checked their gamer dents.
Right.
Here's a question: if you've gotten this far into the podcast, do you have a gamer dent?
Like and subscribe if you have a gamer dent.
Subscribe if you got a ding.
Comment down below how many inches this gamer dent is.
Who spends more, gamers or car guys? Man, I'm gonna have a war down there.
Right.
Well,
maybe not a war. It'll be one guy. It'll be one guy who's like, actually. Oh, there went my leg.
Indeed. Where can the audience find you if they wish to find you?
I'm on Twitter. At Blackoutboi. Be warned, I am very unapologetic about what I like and repost there. So there are a lot of men that will pop up on your feed more often if you do follow me. But you can turn off my group posts and it should be okay. I also have a SoundCloud. I have my own personal SoundCloud. It's Blackoutboi. My Garage30 Radio is on its own SoundCloud, just Garage30 Radio. I have a Patreon if you want. No pressure. It's just there. What else? I think that's it. Yeah. those are my main socials that you can find me at.
All righty.
And I hope you guys enjoy the return of Garage30 Radio when it inevitably does come back.
Okay. Well, before heading off to Raptor, we'll see you in the metaverse. Raptor, you know the thing.
Well, folks, like they say, if you own your car and everything else like this, and these guys are trying to figure out how deep depth their headsets are, check out the dents in some of those cars out there. You just might figure, wow, it's not as bad as you think it is. It's just how much pressure you put against it. We'll talk to you later. Bye, folks.